Hey guys, and welcome to the finale of Let's Play Star Ocean 2. Last time we made our way all the way up here into the final save point of the game and saved there. This will be important for later. And now that we have done this, we've kind of all set ourselves up. I've left everyone pretty much the same except for I gave a reverse stall to Opera there instead of bothering with the fairy ring. She's not going to need the fairy ring, so that's fine. And everyone else is the same except for Chisato. I gave her the Gene Shield instead of the Star Shield. Prevents paralysis, though I don't think that's particularly important for the fight. But more importantly, it protects you against Star Elemental damage. If you do not have all the overpowered gear I have, that's something you'll want to protect against. If you do, it really is unnecessary. But like I said, Opera's not going to need their fairy ring anyway, so it's not a big deal. I've seen people take down the boss at much lower levels than this. I could have avoided using the practice ability up until this point in the game and been a little lower level, and it would have been a little more difficult, but with the gear I have, not really. So anyway, we're all set, ready to go. Our skills have been distributed. Let's see, we've got Mental Science almost maxed out, Metal Casting maxed out. Let's see, functionality, poker face maxed out. Some of our other skills down here, for the most part, haven't really been touched. And that's pretty much the same on everyone, though they're all a little behind on Claude because he's been around for so much longer. With that said, let's go. I like the look of this part of the area especially, even though it's repeating itself at this stage. The final one. The final of the 10 wise men. For the sake of the galaxy we live in, to avenge my father, I shall slay you. Oh. Well. Crap. It's true you're the only one left, but since you are the only one left, I have a feeling you're the most powerful of the bunch. Are you now? Philia. Now, you probably won't recognize that name, because we haven't heard it since the start of the game, really. But I will go into more detail about what he's talking about here later on in the game, into the post-game dungeon, because it has reference to another private action and another super boss. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, it's final boss time.
Why is this monster?
Now, for the most part, this boss fight is going to play out like pretty much every other boss fight we've had lately. We're just going to spam our abilities, and we're going to take him down. But he does have some surprises. Or he doesn't.
Yes. Thank you for stopping me. No need to put the light out yet.
Okay, then. He's supposed to have a power-up.
That was easy.
Yeah, it was. Kind of sad to say. He does have a power-up or another ability where he can just increase all of his stats.
I'm delighted.
I'm so happy.
And there is no save point post-final boss, so those levels don't count for everything. I don't even know why they bother. But anyway. Well, the boss wasn't all that difficult, but it looks like the crest is still going to go off, and we're still screwed. So, want to kill everything. Why is this the plotline of, like, every JRPG? How come everyone just wants to kill everything? Well, we kind of learned a little bit about that in the secret information side quest there. So they basically had a dead man switch. They died, and now the world dies too. So, in essence, we're causing the end of the universe. Shit! Crest of Enchantment on the Crest of Annihilation. Or it'll be too late. Again, I don't see the crest anywhere, but okay, that's fine. Well, they're the crests. Would have been nice if I had seen them earlier. Now it's a purple crest. What exactly did that do? Did that stop everything? Yeah, what? I thought it stopped everything. What has begun? Crest of Enchantment would halt the annihilation of the universe. That's what you guys said. Annihilation of the universe has certainly been halted. Okay, so why is everything still shaking? I'm sure I told you the Crest of Enchantment can only reverse the subject of annihilation. There are not many places that could absorb the energy sufficient to annihilate an entire universe. Technically, it should be nothing, but the Crest will divert all the energy to energy need. So instead of blowing up the universe, it's going to blow up everything within the energy sphere that covers the planet. I'm not sure if this was intentional, but it looked like Chisato didn't have an exclamation mark above her head there. So it's possible that she already knew, which would make sense. I would suspect that Noel would have the same reaction, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's just my guess. So we're all gonna die. Oh. So we're not all gonna die. So they're going to break all laws of physics, break the space-time continuum, bring back a planet and all its people, time shift us onto that planet, somehow all at the same time, and this thing's going to blow up and the universe will not be destroyed. Holy crap! Created by mistake. Based on what we learned in the secret information side quest, I have serious doubts that it was part of a mistake. It was probably intentional, you just don't want to admit it, or you don't even know about it. End of the line for need. Then you'd have what? I think Spock would have said it best, but the needs of the many. Of course we would have hesitated. Ah, there you go. I'm not sure. I would guess they would say the same thing about Noel if Noel happened to be here. Yeah, there's a good idea. So you're committing suicide even though you don't have to. They had an episode of Star Trek, I think it was Next Generation, that dealt with some humans that had settled on another planet and they weren't evolving, and like their DNA was degrading because there wasn't enough genetic diversity within their small little population. It was an interesting episode, but just reminded me of that. Time to bid farewell. hearts are strangely calm. I believe it is because our hearts are with you. Carry our hearts gently. Kind of some strange lines. Now, do we get some big cutscene explosion? Ah, we do. They do a bit better here with the sound effects, but the sound effects really just not quite enough to give that oomph that we were kind of expecting. It looks gorgeous. And everything's pretty much destroyed at this point. I don't know how they chose to do that, but okay. Also, crappy voice acting. But considering they don't do it almost anywhere else in the game, I don't really blame them for not investing a lot of money into doing good voice acting, especially considering the time the game came out. Anyway, time passes. Let's see what everybody's up to. Wonder if everyone's doing okay. So what are you up to there, Chisato? You just floating around? What to do now? That's a boring ending. Ah, looks like Ernest went to go explore the planet that Claude was on at the beginning of the game, the one that teleported him to Expel to begin with. Let's learn more about this. It's probably a trap. Ah, so Bowman's a good doctor now. Well, again, I guess. So apparently I got the ending where Opera got paired with Bowman for some reason or another. I was too busy. I'm not sure what most of the other endings actually are, how they kind of play out. The dialogue will, if you wait long enough, it'll go automatically. But, yeah. Aren't you going to go back to your own planet? Might as well finish the task to the end. I'm sure it would probably take a lifetime to reconstruct an entire kingdom. Month or a year? No, I think it's going to take a lifetime. I'll stay with you to the end. So yeah, they got the romantic ending, I guess. So I guess I'm a bit of a homewrecker. Broke up Opera and Ernest because I didn't let them spend enough time together. Something like that. You thinking, that's a challenge. Yeah, probably. On this path, I guess I got those two as a friendship together, or maybe more. We'll find out. Of course, on Reina's path, I'll have a different ending set up for Celine there. Still room for improvement, huh? Written in ancient characters. Apparently, he can decipher things as well. Maybe. Or it could be somebody's shopping list. And there we go. We got the ending that I wanted for these two. Military maneuvers in the beta sector might take 6 months or so. Apparently, Reyna has moved off Expel. Always leaving you alone like this. Are we getting flashbacks to what his father did? It's work. You won't be alone for long, huh? Aren't you dense? In about 6 months. So yeah, they got together. Isn't that cute? If you have everyone's relationship points, I think it's friendship points together for each individual character to each other character is above 10, then you get a separate scene on Expel right outside the Shingle Forest where Claude is waiting around for everyone to show up, and then it turns out that Reyna already had them over at her house and they were all talking already, and then they go and they start talking to Claude. So everybody meets up at the end. It's like a minute-long scene. It's really not worth the effort of going out of your way to get, but it's there. Anyway, here are the credits. Time for the game's review. So, the story in this game. The story is a bit of hit and miss to me. Now, when I remembered this game before doing my test run, I remembered it being, at the time when I first played it, my favorite Star Ocean game. And even after playing Star Ocean 3, Till the End of Time, I had liked this one better. Thing with Star Ocean 3 is the more I've played it, the more I've enjoyed it. This thing with this game is the more I've played it, the less I've enjoyed it, for some reason or another. Now, part of that's the story. There's still lack of development. The story is rather basic. It doesn't bring the same kind of, I don't know, the same atmosphere as I remembered it having from when I was a kid. So part of my disappointment with the game this time could be just the fact that it didn't live up to my memory of it. So that's entirely on me. However, if you look at certain things, we don't really spend a lot of time doing all that lot in the game. You know, the overall plot with the 10 wise men that happens in the second half of the game, that's pretty interesting. They do a good job of keeping the villains strong, keeping us scared, and making sure that we're trying to do something to save everyone the entire time, including ourselves. So in that respect, it's done really well. It's just, early on in the game, things are relatively boring. Claude should be looking for a way to get off the planet. He doesn't really do anything. The characters, moving on, the characters just don't have the development they need in order to really bring about lasting connections with the audience, or the player. Now, I wish the characters had more, and some of them do get more as we've kind of gone through the game. We've seen that. Private actions are a big part of that. However, a lot of the time the private actions aren't building up to anything super special. They're just funny scenes or interesting scenes. Very few of them really dig in and really explain the characters all that well. And that's where I think the game kind of falls apart a little bit. If there had been more development in the characters and a little more explanation on the story, I think it would have done a lot better. Now, that does not include the PSP remake of the game, Second Evolution. In Second Evolution, they do a lot of retranslations, they add voice-acted cutscenes, there's a little more emotion involved, there's more dialogue, and things get developed a little bit more. It's not huge from what I've been reading and looking up, but it's definitely there. So it's a definite improvement, and for that, I give a big thumbs up to Square and Enix for doing that. However, that's not the only aspect of the game that's a little bit kind of off. The sound effects, I've been bitching about them all game long. They just detract from the cutscenes that we see. And it's a bit of a mixed bag because the sound effects for the cutscenes are detracting. The sound effects for the rest of the game are fine. There's nothing good or bad about them. They're just acceptable. The music for the game is great. It needs a little bit more variety in my opinion. Like, I love the music right now. We almost never get to hear this song. It's a really cool song. Very, very atmospheric, very kind of relaxing. Almost reminds me in a sense of Chrono Cross, and that is a huge compliment because Chrono Cross has some of the best, if not the best, music of any video game ever, in my opinion. Okay, so the music is still great. I love the music for this game. When it comes to the battle system, there are ups and downs. Again, you know, this game, the storyline is all about perspective, and I think from the storyline perspective, they do perspective very well, balancing different perspectives and doing that to build things up. That is done really well. However, it's also kind of the focus of how the game has gone wrong in everything. The battle system is really cool and it's interesting, but as we saw with Ernest in the battle arena, and we'll continue to see going forward, there's just little tiny things over and over again that just lead to problems. The game has a bit of a freezing problem. During this LP, it's frozen on me twice. It's not usually a huge deal, but it can be. Specifically if you're trying to go through a long dungeon like the post-game dungeon, which has 13 floors and no save points inside. On an emulator, you can save state whenever you want, but that's still, your chances are you're going to lose some progress at some point in the game. The battle system, some of the things are done well. Like, I enjoy the killer moves. I enjoy certain aspects of beating, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like beating some of the more powerful bosses. But at the same time, it's hard to really see what's going on in the battle as it's happening because there's too many attacks all at the same time. So it's good and it's bad. Also, the balance issue with mages is something that all Star Ocean games seem to have. The mages always suck. The fighters are always way better. And for some reason, Square Enix has not figured out a way to, you know, add secondary hits or less charge up time or add more use to the mages. You know, up to the PS2 era, they still haven't figured this out. Maybe they did more in the PS3 game, but I haven't got around to that one yet. As for the rest of the gameplay, the item creation system, that I think is actually pretty good. I think they did a better job than they did in Star Ocean 1. And certain aspects of it are done better than in Star Ocean Till the End of Time. So, other than, you know, having to try and use orchestra before any type of item creation and have it only last through 2 to 5 attempts at any type of item creation, I think it's done really, really well. I just think the success rate should be higher. If you notice, when I went to the Oracle in Fun City, my success rate was like, what was it, 50 to 60%? After over 1,000 uses, it really should not be that low. That just seems like a waste of time to me. There should be a way to make it a lot more reliable without having to go back and forth in the menus 6,000 times. The private actions I like. I don't like the timing. You know, you have to be there between this plot point and this plot point, and you have to have done this thing before. But it does add an aspect of replayability to the game, of wanting to go back and see different private actions or take different choices in the private actions. Sometimes you're going to replay for these, you know, on a different path, or you're going to just save before the private actions and then retry each of the options if the particular private action interests you. Some of them are really funny, some of them are really good for developing characters, and some of them are just kind of there. But all in all, I like the private action system. I think they've done it really well in this game as well as in the subsequent game. Which leads me to the graphics. The graphics, like some of the animation for the cutscenes are really, really well done, and some of them for like the character sprites and stuff like that, not particularly all that interesting based on when this came out. This came out in the middle of 1999 in North America. It came out earlier in Japan. 4 months later or 6 months later or whatever it was, Final Fantasy VIII came out in North America as well. So when you look at that and you look at before both of those games, Final Fantasy VII came out, Final Fantasy VII has not aged well, but they at least tried to kind of move forward. Their sprites look nicer, the backgrounds look nicer, they're more detailed. Same thing with Final Fantasy VIII. That's the same idea. I understand that Square just had a monopoly on making really good graphics at that point in time, but still, I was kind of expecting a little bit more from the game, considering when it came out. But overall, the graphics are probably fine. I'm not a graphics whore. I really don't care, but that's just, you know, how I've kind of seen it. Anyway, there's no save point or anything, nothing you have to do. You can't get out of this. You just have to restart your game at this point. So next time we'll show off probably an alternate take on the final boss, since it really died pretty quickly. And then we'll show off any new endings that we got with Reina. And then we can move on to the bonus dungeon. Just because this is the finale doesn't mean this is the end of the game. No, no, no. So anyway, that's all for this one. And I'll see you guys next time.